If you're one that keeps going back to listen to my messages, I can only tell you not to be worried about earthly matters, for your own curiosity is hinting at the fact that you are ready to learn the truth about yourself. Odds are you will set yourself free from all earthly bondage, which are the root of all suffering on earth. First you hear about the truth, then you contemplate the truth, and finally the truth becomes alive within your own conscious awareness, and you start to see the bigger picture hidden behind all physical appearances. It is your destiny, but not everyone would in this lifetime find it. Some have to feast for a longer time on the illusions of this world before the calling and desires come upon them. This desire to look for the truth, that will be the start of their journey towards salvation. There exists a form of confusion in spiritual studies of the mind where a person might think they have to give up all earthly desires to be set free from suffering. But that is not entirely true. Instead, what we want to realize fully is that our own happiness, peace of mind and love is self-begotten. It arises from within and is expressed outwardly into the physical world. Therefore, even if I were to indulge in physical activities like work, sex, dating, watching movies, whatever it actually is, we always will be acutely aware that none of them bring any permanent happiness at all. That puts you in a position to still enjoy the physical side of life without being dependent on it for your own happiness. Or in other words, you don't try through physical means alone to find fulfillment for yourself. Look carefully, and again you shall see most of humanity is living exactly like that, chasing shadows. They try to use physical activities in the hopes of escaping their own sorrows or find some fleeting sense of happiness and fulfillment. Haven't you noticed it always fails you? A relationship falls apart and you feel sad. You indulge in sex and you find a new craving to indulge a little later on. You keep going on dates with a different man or woman in the hopes they are the one. You keep turning on your television to hopefully see something that entertains you, or worse, to just feed upon all the crazy madness. Where in any of these activities do you see that it will ever bring you true permanent happiness? I've observed this for at least 11 years of my life, and I've yet to find true happiness in any of these indulgences. So a form of mental evolution takes place. I've said this before to other people. It seems to me humanity won't necessarily evolve physically all that much, but their evolution lies in the mental realms of life. For those are the realms through which wisdom, intuition and insights reveal to the individual man or woman what their own existence really is all about. Ultimately, that is what you're trying to figure out, whether you realize it or not. You simply want to discover who you really are, and like little children, even though we might be adults, we go and seek through all sorts of methods our own happiness and fulfillment until one day we can see, none of this actually makes any sense. What is going on? What am I doing? Again, it's like waking up inside your own mind. You think you are awake right now, but are you really awake? A very mysterious idea indeed, for if I dream at night, I might not realize I am asleep. I still consider myself awake in a totally different realm of life, and if I'm doing stuff in this world, I consider myself awake also. Do I have a different body asleep somewhere else? How can that possibly be? We are either awake or we are sleeping, and the act of awakening simply means conscious awareness and recognition of your own inner self. Recognition and the ability to work with the inner self can be described as your own wonderful human awareness of being. That is the best way for me to put it in this moment of time. In reality, we are not giving up on life by cutting our desires. We are seeking the realm of eternal bliss. That is why I am forever compelled to remind myself and humanity that we already have whatever we desire. If you want more money, you already have it. If you want a better home, you already have it. If you want health, you already have it. We are so obsessed with achieving this on the physical side alone that we are totally unaware of the inner world of our own minds. We think all of it comes into being through our own actions in the physical domain of life, which is true. We can see it happen, at least. If I act in a certain way, results shift, but I have forgotten that the essence and source of what I want already existed within the depths of my own consciousness, for that is where we give birth to anything we want in life. So you should learn to take it literally. If I close my eyes, I can enter a domain and instantly fulfill all my earthly desires. I live with them in the first person present tense experience, just as how I experienced this life on planet Earth. It is by becoming aware of these inner worlds, you become increasingly more aware that this outer world is the false you, and the inner shows the real you. It is in the inner world of the mind you will find eternal bliss, for that is what you are truly seeking. You seek to fulfill all sorts of earthly desires and escape all sorts of suffering because you are seeking happiness and bliss through them. But the happiness and bliss is self-begotten and exists within. Seek it and you shall find, for it exists wherever you currently stand. So when I talk about cutting all ties with earthly desires, I don't mean something pessimistic at all. I am seeking the essence that lies behind the physical phenomena, and as I find the essence, I can find peace in my own being as I go through life. A peace that knows, regardless of the state of my physical world, my happiness no longer depends on what I observe and have. Then as you achieve that state of being, you can still simply work on your dreams and goals. They are what will make life worth living while you are still here. But you are able to look at life from the right angle, not chasing shadows and letting it control your mind, but enjoying the show of life in its entirety. So many people are frustrated. They try to achieve goals and it fails over and over again. And they are so hypnotized by these physical objects and goals that they can never rest within themselves because their happiness depends on the physical side alone. Awake from this horrible nightmare and be free. We start out in life thinking that achieving certain goals will make our life worth living. We ultimately awaken to find out that true joy lies in understanding the source behind all that we are, for that dispels the illusory grip life had over us. We individually break free from the world of physical illusions to awaken to the inner realms of the mind, but not many will do it. I sometimes ask people, do you dare to detach yourself? I ask myself, do I dare to detach myself fully? It is terrifying to the ego mind to let go of itself, the idea of being forgotten and not existing. But it is the only way to total freedom from all suffering, for suffering can only exist as long as we are hypnotized by all that we observe. My earthly desires can make me suffer. I achieve great success and inevitably will always lose it. Then I suffer. If I had great wealth and lose it, or one day I have to let go because death came knocking, I suffer. If I had a great relationship and the person I loved passed on, I suffer. Everywhere I shall suffer, but my suffering was not without a purpose. It was to dare me to look to the true source behind all of creation. It was all for a divine reason. It is beyond my mortal understanding to put it into words, but I know it is our combined destiny. As brothers and sisters, but society and culture has hidden this oneness. It has become a layer on top of the universal oneness that exists within all of creation. We have to individually peel away the layers of the ego mind, so we can see the oneness and remember who we really were. We have forgotten who we are and what we are. We have forgotten our oneness. We have forgotten that we can be for each other and don't have to be against each other. By realizing this, we can accept the suffering. We won't fight it. We finally come to realize, as long as I am here, suffering will be part of my existence. I cannot escape it, but because I have accepted it fully, it will not make me lose my way any longer. I am not lost. I have been found by the one who seeks my being. That is where I am, whispering your desires into your consciousness in the hopes that the fulfillment of these activities and the journey towards realization shall make you aware of my presence. For humanity feels lost. They feel out of touch with their creator. But the creator behind everything can never leave your sight. It cannot even be near, for that implies separation. It is all one. And science has already proven this by their concept of dark energy, that form of substance that exists in so-called empty space. Nothing is empty, everything is full, yet in that fullness great emptiness exists. All of it is mind-boggling and doesn't have to be accepted by mortal mind. Be still and just know your true essence. The only suffering that should ever exist is the suffering from breaking free from our temporary illusions of achieving goals and success. But humanity has built layer on top of layer of suffering by the theme of divide and conquer. Great is the suffering afflicting all of creation, great is our sorrow, and hard is the road back towards oneness. Are we willing to pay the price? Are we willing to restore our divine memory? Only you can answer it for yourself. That is the great calling. Your suffering can only exist because of your ego. That is the part of our own consciousness that sees separation, believes in separateness, and can't grasp the oneness behind everything. It is the part of us that focuses purely on the physical, on what we were taught, and how society works, and by sheer intensity we are unable to look within. We don't even think of looking within. That shows how strong the pull of the ego really is. The idea of looking within makes no sense to many. They don't understand what it means. What it means is looking into our own minds and seeing all the constructions of thought and beliefs and then dissecting all of it to find the truth hidden from view behind all of it. Once we can grasp the formless awareness of our own being behind all the mental constructs of our earthly life, we are looking into our eternal nature. That is what it means. Like I heard someone once say, as a child, when you first saw a bird, you didn't know what it was. Once someone told you it was a bird and you believed what they said, from that moment on you can only see man-made thoughts. You filter everything according to concepts of this realm and only this realm. You have forgotten how to look with the eyes of the Eternal One that you are. This doesn't mean we stop calling birds a bird, but we do learn to look at everything without filters and constantly are aware that a bird is not a bird. We think it is a bird, but there's nowhere that says it truly is a bird. Look towards the spirit within everything, the spirit that exists behind all physical constructs. You can do this, you know. Because finally, there we see the oneness. Finally we can see why it is told we should cut ties with all earthly desires. For when we do, we enter into the fullness of all that was from the beginning of time. Hard are these words. Hard it is indeed to even remotely try to grasp it with our mortal minds. Maybe we should stop living like that and go beyond mortal constructs so we might finally grasp it. Chasing shadows day in and day out. Believing more money, a new partner, a better home, new physical health will make us happy, when in the end all of it vanishes back into the nothingness that it was. What remains? The eternal awareness of simply being. Being without naming what it is, for it cannot be named. That is what lies beyond the ego constructs of the mind. That is why you should learn to cut ties with earthly desires, so you can see the actual source behind all of what you feel like you should achieve in order to make this temporary existence worthwhile. There was nothing to be achieved and there was never anything lost, for everything is one. The entire essence of all your desires existed within yourself all along, but you had forgotten it was there. So the illusion of this world seemed the only way to fulfill any of them. To sum all of this up, go and achieve all of your wildest dreams while you remember that none of them were truly needed to be happy and free, for you already were in essence free all along. We cut our ties with earthly desires by not being dependent on the actual fulfillment of our desires on the physical side of life. That is the true mystery of cutting ties, and many mistake it for meaning, I should not desire anything and not do anything in life. That sounds depressing indeed, but it is in the stillness of our own hearts we can sense the oneness behind all of creation, and out of that stillness of our hearts, everything will then flow in the way it was meant to be. We learn to let our goals and desires flow from within to the without. As within, so without. As above, so below. They that can grasp that way of living will not experience frustration, hurry, or doubts. So finally, they find peace and can rest in a state of everlasting bliss.